All right. Welcome to the Indie Corner. We're talking about all things independent comics. I'm Mikey.
I'm Seamus.
And today, people, we're back again with another episode of the Indie Corner podcast. We're doing our fourth week episode of our lovely Fright Month event, where we're doing our, talking all things horror books for the month of October. Luckily, we were a little late. Apologize because we had some mix of technical difficulties and just lack of motivation. So that's why it's late. But listen, it's Halloween. It's Halloween weekend, so it still counts. It still counts as our fourth book of the week. And and Seamus, what book are we doing? Might I wonder if you're so curious.
If I remember correctly, today we were doing The Devil That Wears My Face, which is honestly a pretty sick title for a comic book.
But Devil That Wears My Face, people. That is what we're doing, and it's written David Pepose. I think I said Pepose or Pepose. I don't really know how to say it. With art by Alex Cormack, and the thing is, people, it's kind of an interesting thing because this is actually published by not really small, but like a well-known publisher, I'd say. Mad Cave Studios. This is our first Mad Cave Studios book. And yeah, I think it's a pretty cool introduction, I think, to the publisher. Have you ever read for anything from Mad Cave at all?
I've never heard of Mad Cave before this, but if the quality of this book's anything to go by, they're publishing some undercover bangers, honestly.
But I knew for a fact though, like right after I finished reading this book, I was like, I might check more of their stuff out. I might, check more.
I was literally the same way. As right after I finished this book, I was Googling any other books they were publishing because I was like, do they have any other cool ones that I've been missing?
First and foremost, before we start, because obviously this, for people that have been keeping track with our, our Fright Month stuff. This was actually this was a part of our, audience pick book. So I did a poll, before the month started, and it was pretty much a choice between these four books, which was Philadelphia, The Devil That Wears My Face, The Crow, and the book Resonant. And yeah, people actually voted in that shit. People actually participated, which was nice. Devil That Wears My Face was the one that won. It won. It was the popular one, actually. It was 60% of the voters voted for this one. And yeah, it was so thanks to everyone who are watching and who participated and who subscribed to participate. We appreciate it. And yeah, we'll get right into it. So Seamus, we'll start with The Devil That Wears My Face. Number one.
Yes, sir. I'm hyped.
Hype.
I'm hyped after seeing Conclave this weekend. I'm deep in the Christian upper hierarchy at this point.
Yeah, man, for sure. But yeah, so people, we're gonna start off with The Devil That Wears My Face, number one. And thoughts on the cover. I think the cover is cool. I think this one I thought was all right. I think the other covers after this one are much better. But this is just it's cool. It's all right.
Yeah. Like a lot of the other books we do issue by issue. I think the first cover is usually like the one that ends up being the most okay after, seeing the rest of the issues, because there's some cool ones that you get into later in this one that we'll see. But yeah, the first cover is cool.
Yeah. But yeah, people, we'll start this off with we'll start off with in the beginning of the story at Castillo Lazarus, and this book takes place in 1740. And we pretty much get this this kind of scenario where these two people, one's named Maria and the other is kind of like the lord of this castle, and they're sitting behind this weird locked door, and something's taking place there, and exorcism is taking place there, and they send this one priest in who is sent from the Vatican to exorcise this demon who is in the body of the son of the Lord of Castillo Lazarus, right? Obviously, since priests know what they're doing, and this guy pretty much is experienced, this obviously ends, smoothly, and the book, just ends from here. It's only one page, and only one issue, and we're done. So yeah, Seamus, thoughts on the Devil Wears My Face #1.
In terms of introductory issues, I think it's actually pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
Because it, like, I know we just breezed through the plot, but like, it's this is a book that you should read because it is a lot of atmosphere and a lot of tension building, at least in the first couple of issues, and in the back couple of issues, it's a lot of action. So in terms of like actual like plot description and talking about the plot, it ends up sounding super simple, and we end up being like, they fight, and then you're like, you know what I mean? Because like you can't really you know what I mean? So like this, as even though you did just describe it in like 3 sentences, it is a very cool atmospheric build-up issue because there is a lot of like setup to who Vieri is, and you know what I mean, and doing a lot of build-up to like the actual exorcism that occurs at the end of the issue. I think it's a very good introductory issue that does build a lot of mystery, and the first like appearance of Legion when he looks like that devil look is really cool, and that's what gets me locked in. And the ending, like,
come on, you know I'm bullshitting. Of course, this ends terribly. Well, I'm like, why would we not have a rest of this book if it didn't end awfully?
Exactly.
But this priest gets got by this possessed man, and he pretty much this demon pretty much asks Maria and the Lord Lazarus to feed him more priests. So this guy loves to eat priests pretty much.
Yes, sir.
But it transitions to
because the first you think it's building up, and you're like, because when you're reading it, you're like, or like the summary, you're like, oh, this. You think this is the guy the exorcism is going to be about, because you're like, oh, it's about a guy who does an exorcism, and then something happens, and you're like, oh, it's this guy, and then immediately cut to, oh wait, no, it's not this guy, because this guy doesn't have a face anymore.
I literally did think that like Lord Lazarus, without even like before they said what his name was, that he was the one going to be involved in the exorcism, that he was talking to Maria about it. But no, it's actually the guy that just sent in. And then no, actually, it's not this guy because he just got eaten. It's going to be this guy. And this guy, it cuts to Rome, and we get introduced to Father Franco Vieri. And he is pretty much getting in a confessional, pretty much talking to the priest, his fellow priest on the other side, about kind of like, the conundrum that he's in. And pretty much Vieri is pretty much, he's a priest who works alongside, the Vatican. He's kind of like a servant of the Pope. And he has a specialty, which is that he is pretty much an expert on exorcisms, and even talks about his exploits, walking around, the streets of Rome, how, he notices, some of the, especially some of the, the street women that, partake in such things, that sometimes he comes across, some of them, some of the women on these streets possessed, and, it's very interesting. And also the fact, like, he also gets a bit of his, his backstory about how he was dropped off by the church, and he feels like he is, even though he's grew up within the church because they raised him, they mentored him to be, a force for good. He also feels like he is, cursed with the sins of his mother who left him, behind. And we should know why. But yeah, and while this is happening, we also learn that he is also an apprentice to one of the higher up priests within the the Pope, within the Pope's cabinet. I don't remember his name, but it is the gentleman, well, obviously with the big cross in the panel here, and but also he also has like some kind of moral conflict within some conflict with another person within the church. I believe his name is it's like all these names are hard to pronounce. Like, it's just what I'm talking about. Like, it's just but he pretty much has a dispute with this gentleman due to how he treats one of the other priests who has a drinking problem. It was pretty much a drunkard. and obviously, and so pretty much we get to see pretty much like Franco Vieri's commitment and also his conflicts within the church and within the Pope's cabinet, which is really interesting. So while this is happening, the priest on the other side pretty much acknowledges the fact that even though he has all these doubts and all these conflicts, but he can tell his dedication and that his secrets are safe with him. Also, as a caveat, he actually wants to actually send Franco on a mission to Spain, where we left off with the previous pope, and he gives them the backstory about how there's an exorcism going on in Spain, and they sent priests down there, and they've all gone wrong. And he pretty much, since he's an expert and is one of the well-known experts in terms of exorcisms and dealing with demons, that he should be sent down there himself to do so. And this is off the books. No priests, no other priests within the Pope's cabinet are aware of what's going to be going on. He's just going to be going on the low, pretty much, the secret mission. He accepts. So it transitions to him landing in Spain. And he gets introduced to the Lord of Castillo Lazarus, as well as Maria, and pretty much he gets the backstory that the person that is possessed by this demon is the Lord's son, Santiago. And I do like this kind of exposition, because Maria and the Lord do a good job of kind of painting the picture of who Santiago was before he was possessed by a demon, how he was actually a genuinely good man, the fact that him and Maria grew up together and kind of are fun and kind of matures a kind of like a love between the two, and the fact that the moment he came back from, I believe they mentioned the war that Santiago's brother died from, that he was changed after that, and then it was revealed, and then they figured out through the church and through priests that he was actually possessed by a demon. And obviously, while this is happening, Franco's giving them reassurance that, listen, I'm good at what I do, and I think with me, he's in good hands and everything will be fine. You'll get your son back. So it transitions to while they're in front of the door, and we get a panel where Maria kind of freezes for a second, and then Maria reveals that she is afflicted with something called the falling sickness, which is revered, which is known in their community. Well, not just community, but mostly just within Europe. But pretty much she has a moment where she stops for a second and she inherently sees visions. And one thing that she sees is just like a red figure doing something. And she pretty much has said that she's had this affliction since she was a child, and then Vieri reassures her that it's many scholars believe that the premonitions actually come from angels and the divine, and also it is known that it's suspected that Joan of Arc also had the falling sickness as well and had these visions. So it's pretty cool. So while this is happening, while they're in front of the door, pretty much, he wants to give her a little more reassurance, ask her what's her favorite prayer, and she says that her favorite prayer was the Memorare, but it is a prayer that she hasn't said in a long time because her lack in faith has waned over the course of her life. And he also make sure to let her know that it's also my favorite prayer as well, and that, listen, remember it for Santiago's sake, because we'll need it in order to get him back, and and pretty much says since you've been saying he's been a good man, I think everything will be fine. So Vieri walks in to the possessed Santiago's cell, and pretty much the demon is taunting him and is being another delicious priest for me to eat on. And pretty much he's Vieri is confident. He's nah, listen, listen, you can tell me your name. He wants to get the name of the demon, because people that have watched Christian horror movies and religious horror movies, that if you say the name of if you know the name of the demon, it's easier for you to cast it off hell, pretty much. So you're trying to trick him. And Even though, and the demon reveals to him that even though he says, "Yeah, you'll never really know my true name, but you will refer to me as you can just refer to me as Legion." And 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 while this is happening, Legion starts to get angrier, and he ends up running towards Vieri, and then but the chains, that are strapped to his arms and legs, bound him in place, uh, and so then Bluey's like, yeah, he literally said like, you're bound here, you know that you can't move, so why even bother to even like try to like struggle? And the demon pretty much is, and Legion is pretty much saying, he's like, they said like, don't you know that chains are meant to be broken? I was like, oh, interesting. And then it's like, perhaps then like, listen, we should end the discussion right here, and I'll just send you back to hell. The exorcism happens. Vieri's, saying I'm holding his cross in front of Legion. Legion seems to be, hurting by it. He's saying his his sermons in Latin. I believe it's Latin, right? Seamus. And pretty much the demon is like, burning in pain. And then but then he realizes that he's like, listen, like, Father is like, I hear you, but he's like, but please, like, there's still time for you to shut up and die. And it's revealed, yeah, he's actually his rank has changed to actually like break loose from them, and he ends up grabbing Vieri, and pretty much they have like this kind of this psychedelic, like, hellish pretty much experience. And Cormack, the way he draws it and the way it's colored is beautiful and just terrifying. And all the eyes and stuff like that, I think is really cool. But then he notices that Vieri smells different. There's something different about Vieri than the other priests. And then he realizes that, oh wait, like it's I think it's something more than like a priest's flesh. And it's a priest that I love more. It's a priest of doubt. And while this is happening, Vieri's in a panic, trying to finish his sermon to cast the demon out. And while this is happening, the Legion starts to transform and literally like turns like this kind of like this multi-eyed monster and just like licks Vieri's face. And he also says he can see into his memories. He can see that, like, he knows the real truth, and that he's and he knows that, like, even though you think you're strong enough to face me, you're not even strong enough to, like, to face yourself. And while this is happening, it is interrupted by Maria, who pretty much whacks Legion across the face, separating his hold from Vieri. And while this is happening, she apologizes and says, "No, this is great. Like, listen, I think I need more help. I'm gonna go back to the room, give a report on my findings, so then we could probably, get some backup. It's gonna require more than just the powers of the limit, the more than the powers of an exorcism." So he gets back to Rome, and he cuts back to the same confessional where he's talking to the same priest that sent him on the mission to Spain. And while this is happening, he's giving all of his findings, and pretty much said that, like, that Santiago is simply beyond saving, blah 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 blah, and it's unfortunate to hear. But he did say that like, the experience did change him to a degree, and when the priest gets some interest in that, oh, like, why is that? And it's like, well, there's one thing I wanted to mention first, and to the cardinal. And Vieri punches through, the confessional window, grabs the priest, grabs the cardinal by his neck, and snaps it. And it's just like, you really should stop calling me Vieri. It's like, after all, my name is Legion. And so we get the reveal that during the encounter, Legion not only possessed Vieri, but also switched bodies with Vieri. Because on the other side, back in Spain, the Lord and Maria are saying that the demon is getting more erratic, and that it's becoming more erratic and angry, and it's just bothersome. They need to free Santiago, probably without the priest's help. But it's revealed that the priest is actually spouting that his name is actually Franco Vieri, Father Franco Vieri, and that they should free him immediately because Legion is now taking over his body. So it's a Freaky Friday situation, Seamus. It's not good. And that's how issue 1 ends. We're on issue 1.
That was it's a great. Honestly, it's one of the better, like, introductory issues that we've had, because it just instantly builds the atmosphere, like I said, and instantly gives you a cool twist that you're like, I really do want to see how this eventually turns out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
man.
I think it's like really successful in terms of like just being cool. You know what I mean?
That's the thing to me too. Like because again, like after reading like this book, like the first issue, yeah, the atmosphere they build is great. They give the good amount of exposition when it's needed to give us some backstory, not just on this on Franco and the on Franco Vieri, but like Santiago and like all that stuff. But also just like that twist at the end where like yeah they've actually switched places. I thought was really dope because I've never really seen in any because in common like religious horror or Christian horror involving like an exorcisms we've never actually seen this concept done before where like not only is a person possessed but also but also it's a swap where like not only is the demon controlling the person's body but the person has been evicted from their own body into the person that they were previously possessing.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And I'm just like, I again, I was telling Seamus off camera, I was like, I want this. Like, I would have loved to see this in live action because like, that's a different trope in terms of this genre I have never really seen before. I really was very curious and like
you were specifically shitting on the Pope's Exorcist.
Yeah, I was shitting on the Pope's Exorcist because that movie came out last year was so hyped to be like this kind of like cool like like edgy like like genre changing like trope changing thing with like an exorcism movie, and it was okay, it was, like it wasn't as dramatic as a trope change as this one is, which I thought was really cool. So yeah, man. Any more thoughts before we move on to issue 2, bro?
No, sir.
No, sir. So moving on to The Devil That Wears My Face, number 2. Thoughts on this one? This one's really cool. I think this one's cool. This man just leaping down on another victim in a priest's body. Like, it's, like that's one thing I was saying. Like, isn't that cool? Like, like the fact that this book, the main villain is a priest, essentially.
Yeah, he's a possessed priest, and you get to do a lot of cool imagery with that, which is why all the shit looks cool.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, this is a dope cover. That looks really nice. But so it picks up, back in Spain, 1740, and it is the actual priests from I don't know if these are the priests that were sent from Rome or these priests that were already there. These priests are already there, but they're pretty much trying to torture Santiago. Well, in this case, Vieri, to cast. They still think that the demon is still possessing Vieri, to Santiago. And they're trying to they're drowning him in water. They're trying to get him, and he's trying to plead. He's pleading for him, being like, "Listen, I'm actually Father Franco Vieri. Like, y'all have to seize. Like, y'all have to stop this. Like, the demon legions in my body. They're not listening, of course, because priests think they're right all the time because they think they know better. And they do this thing that I really thought was really interesting, Seamus. They said, "Okay, listen, if you are Franco Vieri, that means you're a man of God, which means if you can hold this just hold this cross. Let's see if the cross lies or not." And he gives him the cross. He gives Vieri Santiago Vieri the cross, and it is revealed that the moment he grabs the cross, it burns. So now immediately you're just like, this is interesting, which means like Vieri didn't just swap. I just was like, Vieri didn't swap bodies. He is possessed. He's technically possessing Santiago, right? Which is not a good thing, in terms of what God thinks, I guess. Which is really really what that was really cool. So yeah, that's like a really cool reveal that I love within this issue. So it transitions back to Rome, where now Legion, possessing Vieri's body, is going to start to enact his mischief, his rampage, if you will. Pretty much it transitions to an argument not really like kind of like a discussion or a conflict between a lot of the Pope's cabinet, and pretty much it is revealed that the reason why you see Legion on the roof is because he threw another priest off of it, and they're dead. And it was made to look like kind of like a suicide, even though the priest didn't really show any signs of anguish or depression or turmoil. And then one of the other cardinals, one of the other one of the other priests that Vieri has a conflict with, goes up to him and pretty much talking about like he needs to talk, and the fact that he thinks he's innocent of what he did, a few days prior, and he also said that Legion revealed that he was going to be diverting a group of inquisitors to Spain, which he did. So those are the ones that Vieri said, Legion said, and then this pisses Legion off. He gets him in kind of like he kind of restrained his arm to the point where he's about to break it, and he pretty much is like, listen, tell him pretty much don't undermine my authority. He's like, don't you ever touch me, because pretty much he plans to pretty much break it, rip his jaw off his, to destroy his jaw pretty much. This is then interrupted by Vieri's mentor, who pretty much stops it all, and is pretty much appalled by what he's seeing. And then he's just like, "Yo, well, what has the devil gotten into you? Like, what's the matter?" He's like, "Trust me, you don't want to know." And then turns to Vieri, Santiago back in Spain. They're pretty much it's narrated by Maria, and saying that it's been days, and literally all the inquisitors have tried all their methods. They poured water on him. They stomped him out. I think they stoned him. They're doing every amount. They're doing numerous amounts of sort of they can to cast the demon out, even though they don't know. Even though they're too arrogant and blindsided to realize that no, this is actually Vieri in Santiago's body. The fact that it's like, hey, listen, if nothing has happened and he's still going by it and he's probably telling the truth. But they don't want to hear it. But again, they don't want to hear it. And even more so, she gets a vision where, from what it looks like, Legion back in Rome, enacting another murder, pretty much. And she gasps, and then to even prove her claim that there's a chance that Santiago Santiago might be innocent, she notices that that she goes up to him with a sword. So listen, the only way I can set you free is by pretty much killing him. And if you were a better man, to say if it is better for you to die a man than a desolate husk. And she stops him because she notices something that Santiago is saying is praying. He's saying a special exorcism prayer. And while this is happening, his back is bubbling and burning because Vieri is possessing him. All of his prayers are pretty much working against him and are hurting him physically. And I thought this was a dope ass page. I was like, wow, it's actually this. I'm loving these trope changes that they're making. That's such a cool idea, So while this is happening, pretty much we get an exploit. We don't get a montage of stuff that Legion is happening. He goes on the prowl, murders somebody, then goes to kind of a bar, and then gets into a fight with a guy who he reveals is actually a pedophile, and which causes one of the local sex workers to then kill him because she has more dignity than this man because he's a pedophile. So he's just pretty much causing lots and lots of havoc. But transitions to back in Spain, Maria decides to free Vieri. And then it's revealed that the reason why she is doing it because The reason why she knew it was him is because their actual prayer he was saying was the Memorare, which he mentioned last issue, which was her favorite prayer, which means, and obviously the fact that it was hurting you and you knew it, but you did it for the sake of your own salvation, means you were telling the truth. This is interrupted again by the Lord of Lazarus, and he pretty much does not want. He pretty much does not want his son to move, to leave, because he still thinks that he could possibly be saved by staying. Obviously, he doesn't know what's going on. Transitions again to more mischief being conducted by Legion, and he actually gets caught up with by one of the priests, Gabriel, who pretty much saw what happened in the bar. It transitions back to the Lord, and he's pretty much gets into a fight, pretty much an actual sword fight with Vieri, and Vieri ends up being pretty good because he pretty much revealed that he's actually never been in a sword fight before, and the fact that he's holding his own, realized that because he's in Santiago's body, he has his memories and he has his motor. He has his motor skill. So he's getting caught in this awesome sword fight, and while this is happening, at the end of the fight, the Lord, due to the stress of the situation, has a heart attack. Vieri tries to come to his aid to get a doctor, but the doctor is several days away from town. While this is happening, and while Vieri has the Lord in his arms, due to the fact that he's close to death, he can actually see. The Lord can actually see the spirit of his son, and that holding Vieri, which means his son, Santiago, is still in there. And he pretty much goes to Maria and tells him that we got to get him out of here. Make sure if you love my son, make sure you follow Vieri's path, and pretty much seek revenge to pretty much save him from his affliction. And he dies, and with that transitions to the priest Gabriel. The priest Gabriel waking up in what appears to be the Pope's room, and while it's happening, Legion is talking with him, and he said, "Listen, His Holiness has a message for you." And you guessed it, if you haven't figured out by now, Legion killed the Pope. And you're just like, God damn, okay. This book has just went from 0 to 100 real quick. Legion grabs onto Gabriel and is like, listen, like, either you got two options. Either you can die and I can frame you for being the murderer of the Pope, or we can we can just pretend that we can just both pretend that the Freemasons just had an assassination hit on the Pope, and that me and you witnessed it in order to me to save your life. But you think that you have to do whatever I say, and they're just like, yeah, I'm a coward. I'll go with option 2. So it transitions to Maria and Vieri on their voyage. It is revealed that Vieri now has access to the Lord Lazarus' fortune, because the Lord left everything to his heir, which was Santiago, his son. And the fact that now he's going to actually take advantage and use these resources to track down Legion and to pretty much get his body back. But he pretty much ends the issue by saying, listen, but the conflict is, how is he can't really go, you can't touch any holy crosses or relics to perform an exorcism, because that'll burn him. If he steps into any holy sanctum, any holy buildings like a church, he could burn alive. So the best thing is, listen, I have another plan, and we're going to use Santiago's resources to do it. So, and the thing is, and he ends the book pretty much turning into Inigo Montoya from Princess Bride. And if I can't perform an exorcism, then perhaps instead I'll try my hand at possession. And that's how issue 2 ends. So that's how issue 2 ends.
I thought that this issue was a lot of solid groundwork for what comes later, and it was very interesting to see Legion actually do shit in the world now and be like, you know what I mean? Because issue 1 was a lot of Cloak and Dagger stuff purely so that way they could do the rug pull reveal at the end of like, oh, he's actually already turned, and now issue 2 is where you get to see him actually out in the world being fucking insane and shit.
Being insane and like making like revealing people's dirty secrets to each other and getting someone to kill themselves and
Yeah, acting as though the devil would.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought this issue was entertaining just to see this dude basically treat all these other human beings as NPCs.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like he was playing GTA for real, but like in 1740. You know,
my man was playing. He's playing on a modded server, and everyone else doesn't got shit.
Yeah, man. I agree with you, man. This issue did set a lot of groundwork for what's gonna come later. I do like again the play on tropes that they're doing. It's really I think it's really fun. That scene where he literally is saying the prayer, but because he's in a possessed body, that like he knows it hurts him anyway. I was like, that's such a really cool play on that trope. I thought it was really fun. The whole idea the way this book anywhere is like, oh, like I'm gonna have to do a possession in order to get my body back, not an exorcism, which again is contrast of what priests actually do and exorcists actually do. That was really fun. Yeah, it's just Legion being a menace, and Santiago and Vieri turning into Inigo Montoya at the end. That's awesome. But I do like the fact that even though like a possession, even though Vieri is possessing Santiago's body, Santiago still is in there, so there's still hope for it. Which I really do. It is very optimistic. I really did like that. Yeah,
very cool.
So we'll move on to issue number 3 then.
Yes, sir.
All right, so The Devil That Wears My Face, issue number 3. Shout out on this cover. This cover is cool. I like it a lot. I like
this is one of my favorites. I think of all of them.
Oh, for real? Why is that?
I just like the use of green, and I just like the entire composition of it, of the dagger coming down on him with all like the little green on the side. I just think it looks very cool to me.
I got you. Yeah, man, it's awesome. The green, a lot of the imagery involving Legion, involving like the multiple like eyes, like I think that's really cool. But yeah, no, I thought this issue was this cover is really dope.
Yeah, and like his scared face as he's like plunging the dagger, because it looks like even he doesn't believe he's about to kill him.
Exactly. It's funny, but yeah. So issue number 3 starts off right where we left off. So pretty much what Legion decided to do was blame another priest for the assassination attempt, that he let him, that he was a spy, and he pretty much gets this innocent priest to die at the end of the guillotine. And you're like, damn, the Vatican has a guillotine. That's cool. But yeah, he pretty much turns another priest to a scapegoat to make sure that like no one's on his trail. And it transitions to Maria and Vieri's journey to Rome, and we pretty much get a kind of a little more exposition where due to the resources that they now have, they can they're gonna find accommodations and all that stuff for themselves. They're going to kind of like, in order to have him come to us, we're gonna build a facade that we are kind of like and kind of like a rich facade, and also the fact that they're using an event called the Carnivale, the Carnivale, which we want to take this the kind of like carnival is a giant like party and festival throughout the whole city. They're gonna use that as a mask and all that debauchery to like kind of lure Legion in and trap them. And yeah, so that's pretty much the game plan. And also it's noted that she asked him how his burns are, and that like so they're healing poorly, but the cross reminds me that like he's just an unwelcome. He's just as much as an unwelcome passenger in Santiago's skin, like how Legion is an unwelcome passenger in my skin. But that was really cool. And now that he's also like, again, the plan is to draw him out through the use of Carnival, and the fact that like we have to do the civilized thing, and that he is now the Marquis de Lazarus, and we shall simply send him an invitation to draw him in. Which is like, yeah, so they're gonna pretty much use their money and status to go undercover to try to lure him in that way, which I think is really cool. So it transitions to Legion and Vieri's mentor and Gabriel, and it's pretty much like like the Cardinal. Oh, the Cardinal Pentecost is Vieri's mentor's name. So we'll call him Pentecost. So you pretty much have he's just doing a good job of getting Pentecost kind of off of the scent, being like, oh, like it's a real tragedy what happened, and this is dark days for Rome and all that stuff, and Pentecost lets them know that it's kind of going to be a hard thing to do leadership wise, because now the Secretary of the State is gone, and also now the Pope is gone. So how do we we're trying to, there pretty much is a power, there's a leadership issue now in terms of how the Vatican is going to run. So now the Legion is pretty much dismantling the Vatican. It's kind of crazy. And then while this is happening, he also mentions that Gabriel is keeping himself out of trouble, because remember, Gabriel is a drunk, and knowing that he just signed his soul over to the devil, he's like, yeah, he lied and said he's fine. And Pentecost gives him a new assignment, where these new bureaucrats are coming to Rome to get involved in the festivities and maybe settle down there, and he wants someone to pretty much someone from the church to get sent down there to kind of be that kind of their political or their religious liaison from the church, kind of like this abstract system. He wants to send Vieri there to establish a relationship to the church with them, and since it's going to be a party, and demons love debauchery, he accepts. But while this is happening, while they leave, the priest the cardinal that he has beef with notices them and is going to follow their trail pretty much. Transitions to the actual carnival event. He pretty much wants to cover. Him and Gabriel arrive there. He wants to split up and get involved in as much of the debauchery as possible. But he wants to contact the master of the castle directly, because he wants to pretty much kill him and take his power for himself. And while I think Cardinal Massini, who is the one the asshole priest, follows him, and he's pretty much just saying that this is going to be an underbooked mission, and that we're going to have to find him and put him, just because he just doesn't trust him. Okay, that just happened. But while this is happening, Maria pretty much notices that she knows that all the debauchery that's going on, he's going to be drawn to it, and that he's going to be looking for us directly. And she also utilized the fact that Vieri mentioned about the women that work the street on in Rome, and that she's going to use them to their advantage as well by paying them to pretty much distract all of the men, all their guests pretty much, which is a pretty smart plan. She ends up going behind Legion and introducing himself, and she says, "Oh, I mean, the Marquesa de Lazarus, it's happy to meet you." And she pretty much she's kind of using his his demon game a little bit, trying to flirt with her and being like, "Oh, I like to do business for pleasure. Do you want to dance?" She's like, "I didn't know priests could dance." And it's good playing with it, and they like to do a crazy dance in the middle of the party. And in order to conduct their meeting further in their tour, she wants to do a tour of the place, because she also prefers business more than pleasure. And he pretty much follows her lead, and they do a tour. And she pretty much talks about how her husband has lots of things in her travels, and he's like, did he actually do see anything you like? And oh yeah, one thing he's about to grab that ass pretty much. She stopped by taking a fan and slashing him in the arm, and she pretty much says like, oh, I'm sorry. And he pretty much tells her to, go. Go fetch a bandage. And he calls her a wench for it. Uh, and and then while she leaves, he gets interrupted by Santiago or Vieri, and talking about how and pretty much just goes on this monologue about how his surprised he's not recognizing him, and that he knows who he is, and he pretty much has a discussion how he pretty much makes fun of the priest, even though he's not acting very priest. He also talks about how about the tale of Judas Iscariot and how how he sold out Christ for 30 pieces of silver, like in the Bible, and also that he while in his travels he's been looking for these 30 pieces of silver through his mining company that he owns, and he realized that the only way you can get rid of someone like Legion is with a cursed blade, and obviously it is a blade made out of 30 pieces of silver. And instead, of course, you can, but it only works if you're left alive too. And then he realizes that he doesn't have any abilities, and it's revealed that you should never underestimate me, Father. I should have called you Legion. And it's like you demon of your stature might have escaped some ordinary trap, but this is but it's revealed that he trapped him in a pentagram that was made from the dirt of potter's and is consecrated with the blood of the damned. And he ends up, he wants to reintroduce himself. He takes off the mask, Inigo Montoya style, and it's reveals himself as the Marquis de Lazarus, but my friends also know me as Father Franco Vieri. And while this is happening, the Cardinal Medici, pretty much in a rage, is telling all the guards to spread out to find Vieri. He wants guards on every tower, even though Maria interrupts him. Is like, listen, this is my house. You can't do this. And she's like, listen, silence, wench. This is in the name of God, the name of Jesus. So just watch out. While she's trying to give Franco more time, literally it's they're having a conversation. Legion having a conversation with Vieri, taunting him some more. Medici interrupts, ends up pushing Vieri out the way because he thinks he's being attacked, and is like, get down, and and then literally while Vieri he actually pins down Vieri, puts his cross onto it, and with his cross near him, Vieri grabs it and starts to get burned by it, and pretty much wants to cast him out for what he's pretty much going on he's a sinner and should be cast out for his debauchery. And while it's happening, 3 of the guards get decapitated. Who would you guessed it? By Legion. And Legion starts flying, and Medici gets to reveal that that Vieri has been possessed this entire time. Maria ends up shooting him. And then Legion gets a smart idea where it's like, oh, what I could do instead of just leaving, I could just and leaving and waiting for y'all to just exorcise me and kill me and stop me from having my fun. I can just throw Medici out of a window and frame it on you, so it can cause more problems for you. So it can cause more problems for you, while I can fulfill my desires and my fun. And so the mission ends with Vieri and Maria pretty much having guns pointed at him, while Legion accuses them of murdering the Cardinal. And that's how issue 3 ends. So thoughts on issue 3?
This arguably I don't know if this is the weakest, but it was the one that was I felt the slowest paced. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In that I feel like in terms of what happened, it was a lot of it just felt a little slowed for what was going on. Even though I still liked it, I still enjoyed where it was going. I was a little okay, I feel like we could speed this up a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I do like a lot of the twists. I like the switching and stuff, but I am a little okay, let's hurry this up. Which not to spoil anything, but thankfully it almost instantly goes 100 next issue. So
exactly. So it works out. it is one of these slower ones. I did again the twists and stuff were fun. A lot of the just seeing like the priest is be like a little freaky bitch, just like a freaky bastard is like hilarious to me. A lot of on the tropes that we've gotten, like in similar genre, I think it's really fun. Yeah, I just love the fact that they just literally are making Santiago like Vieri as Santiago, just Inigo Montoya, and it's like it's so funny. And I'm just like, it's just great fun. I don't really. I mean, it's kind of like not really a spoiler, but you off camera when you're talking about this book, you said that like you love how it turned into like kind of like an Indiana Jones kind of adventure with Vieri in the book, and I can agree with you on that. But yeah, I thought it was fun. Yeah, but definitely one of the slower ones, but I still thought there was a lot of good like fun stuff and still a good amount of like groundwork to like the next half of the book.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, all right, Seamus, let's get to the good stuff now. Let's move on to issue number 4. Thoughts on this? This cover's crazy.
This cover's up there with one of my favorites. I think it's either this one or the last one. Are both like up there just because of how insane this shit looks, and I like how they gave him little devil horns.
Right? Yeah.
I'm like, all right, that's cool.
just to add to the fact that he is possessed by a demon. But yeah, man. No other thoughts on the cover. Just let us off. What? And obviously, people. We were saying this off camera. A lot of the next part of this issue is a lot of action stuff and a lot of crazy ass moments. So,
yeah, this back half is gonna go way quicker because it is a lot of. It's like basically the climax is split into just 3 issues that are rapid firely, like boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? So yeah. So this issue like picks up right where you left off, where they're being tried for murder by the Pentagram, and Maria's like, I had another vision. I know what we have to do, and Vieri's like, okay, whatever you say, man. Like as long as we get the fuck out of here.
Yep.
And Legion is there like, oh, these blasphemers, you must kill them. And they're like, we're not going to bother even trying to argue with these guys. And then they turn and jump out the window. And they do this cool Indiana Jones thing down the drapes outside and then land on a carriage and kick the driver off as Vieri apologizes. And Maria says that she saw a path filled with angels and is like, I got to find out where they lead. So then it cuts back to Legion looking at the window, kind of in disbelief that they just did that. And one of the Gabriel's there with Legion, and he starts questioning Legion if he is really Franco Vieri, and Legion, of course, is like sly about it and snide, where he's like, "Oh yes, my bumbling friend, I'm afraid so." And Gabriel's instantly like, "This dude's fucking lying." Like, look, like he has the most insincere face.
Yeah.
But and then Gabriel's like, it's time to stop this, Legion. Like, no more blood, no more demon sorcery. And then he starts calling out, "No more, you monster," and tackles him as Vieri and Maria are getting shot at by the ship, by their cannons, and getting blown to bits. And then Legion's like, "What the fuck you do?" And Gabriel's like, "I'm not going to let you drag a good man's name through the mud anymore." And Legion's like, "All right, dude, that was good. You figured it out. You did all that. But see ya." And then he just shoves his hand through his chest and fucking guts Gabriel instantly. While all the guards are like, "Oh my god."
You just saw a priest murder someone.
Yeah. And so then they all turn their guns toward the Legion, as Legion's like, "Well, I can't let a room full of witnesses stay alive." And so so then Legion presumably slaughters all of the guards in there, while we cut back to Vieri and Maria still on their carriage chase, being followed by hundreds of demonically possessed guards
Mm-hmm.
who are looking very zombified right now, and Vieri and Maria are getting overwhelmed, and then Vieri gets almost pulled off of the carriage, and he's holding on the back as they cross through into the Jewish ghetto, and Vieri starts fighting all of these crazy demonic zombie guardsmen, and then they get overwhelmed enough and make a jump, and then fall into the carriage falls into the river, and you think they fell into the river, and then it cuts to them jumping on two horses, where they decide to split up and regroup later. And of course, Vieri's running distraction so Maria can get away, and he is going right through the heart of like the zombie horde as Legion watches and is like, I got you, motherfucker. Yeah, so Vieri's getting absolutely surrounded, and it's like a Call of Duty Zombies map out there where he's getting completely overwhelmed, and he's kiting. He's trying to get a train going. He's trying to buy a ray gun.
Call of Duty. Call of Duty.
He does this sick ass Indiana Jones maneuver by shooting a rope, holding up a lot of this debris that completely brings it down.
Mm-hmm.
And then he zooms in, and it actually is revealed that it's not Vieri. It's actually Maria doing all of this in Vieri's clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Legion's like, fuck, wait, where'd he go? And then from behind, Vieri's behind him and is like, you have much to learn about being human, Legion, because my ending's not been written yet. And then just daggers him in the side. And Legion's like, how the fuck did you do that, man? What the fuck? And Vieri's like, Maria told me to, because she said she saw a path of angels. So I went to Puente Sant'Angelo, which has a bunch of angels on the steeple, which is where Legion was viewing from.
Yeah.
And so Legion's like, oh no, I'm hurt. And Vieri's doing his whole hero, like, we will now cast you back to hell. And Legion's like, all right, you idiot, why would you lower your guard now? And throws a cross at him, and Vieri immediately begins burning up.
Yeah, man.
And then Legion pushes Vieri off the roof, and then Vieri falls into the hull of a ship as the entire ship begins to go up in flames as the issue ends.
Mm-hmm.
And that is it for issue 4.
Yeah, bro, this show is fun. It's a lot of fun. Again, I do like the whole switcheroo stuff that they do with Maria and Santiago.
This was like the most like Indiana Jones swashbuckling adventure issue that they have so far, where it's mostly just Maria and Vieri just like fighting off hordes of zombies and trying to trick Legion in order to get close to him to use the what's it called blade to like kill him, which is very cool. But yeah, the blade doesn't end up working that they were trying to hinge their entire thing on, and they're like, well, Vieri's dead, and you know, fuck.
I guess Judas's 30 pieces of silver actually didn't matter.
Yeah, fuck Judas, am I right? There's a reason they cast his ass out, fucking liar. Yeah. That's all you got. Not much. This is an issue where there's not much to say in a very good way. Where I'm like, I don't have much to say because it was like straight to the point and very exciting issue. You know.
Yeah, I didn't see the zombies coming at all. Though. I was like, I did not expect that.
I like the demonic zombies because I was like, oh, what better horde or what better enemy for Legion to utilize than a horde? You know what I mean? Because that makes sense. Yeah. Anyway, on to issue 5.
Issue number 5.
With a cool ass cover, if I might add. I like this one. This one was pretty good. I just don't like all the. I'm not a fan of all these eyes.
But like he's Legion, Seamus. That's why.
I know, but the eyes are freaking me out a little bit. And they're all over the place. I don't like them looking at me. I feel like they're judging me in a way I don't like.
I mean, I do like it because it's just like it's kind of like using like eyes, kind of like as like Kirby Crackle. Like if you
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah, like, I think that's a smart way to like.
I see the vision now. I see it.
Yeah, it's like Kirby Crackle, but it's instead of just black dots and stuff, solid color dots, just eyes. That's kind of.
Yep. Anyway, issue 5 opens up with Maria watching the ship burn, going, "Well, he's dead." And we cut to Vieri in the ship, giving a last prayer. And as he's giving a last prayer, he starts hearing a voice. And lo and behold, the soul of Santiago Izan, right there, giving the prayer. And he's like, don't call the Lord's name in vain, Father, because there's no salvation where we are. And then they both immediately get dragged down to hell.
It's like everything's on fire. You know where to send us.
Yeah, and so they both get dragged down to hell, and we quickly cut back to Legion and the body of Gabriel, and they are like, the guards just believe everything Legion says of like, well, I had to kill Gabriel because the exorcism didn't work and he was possessed. And so then the guards are like, we need you to exorcise again. And then that's when Pentecost shows up again. And he basically goes at Vieri and is like, I sent you on a diplomatic mission and you blew up the city and now there's zombies everywhere. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And Legion basically just goes at Pentecost and is like, you're a favorite of the conclave. You're gonna serve as the new pope, are you not? And now you're bitching at me because I caused a little stir. Like, you're gonna be fine, dude. And then that's when, out of nowhere, Maria puts her gun to Legion's head and is like, Your Eminence, this guy's fucking a liar and the devil.
Yeah. I just want to no, he's possessed. Don't trust him.
He's literally like, I think by the fact that I have a gun to his head, he's not who he says he is. And then we quickly cut back to Vieri falling down into hell, where a kind of a recreation of Castillo Lazarus is, and Santiago is there in hell with the chains of burden wrapped around him, and Vieri's trying to explain the situation, and he's like, "Oh, now that our minds are joined, I can free your soul, and we can both take on Legion." And so he starts removing the blighted chains, and that's when a force pushes him back. After he goes, "No, that can't be." Then he goes, "That wasn't Legion, that was you." And it's a little flash of Santiago choking Maria.
Oh.
And you're like, "Oh, what?" And then Santiago says, I did the same thing that I've done to everyone else in my life, Father. I brought her to ruin. And then you're like, what? And then it cuts back to Maria having to convince Pentecost that Legion is the devil. And during that moment, Maria gets a vision that removes her focus for a minute, and the guards instantly tackle her, and she starts pleading. And Legion immediately explains it away and is like, "Oh, I'm sorry, there are some crazies in here." And Pentecost is just like, "What the fuck?" And so Legion walks away, and Pentecost lets him, and Maria gets taken. And then we cut back to a little shot that establishes that the body that Vieri was using is actually not dead yet, but it will be soon, because he's going to either be drowned or on fire in a minute. And so Santiago's talking about is your brother Hector. He's like, when I reach my end, I should pray for absolution. And Vieri is trying to be like, well, absolution, you have to actually be like sorry, like you have to have genuine penance. You can't just like fake it and then be like, oh, I did it. And that's when he's like, you reek of mortal sin. Of course, a devil possessed you. Like, what the fuck? And Vieri's kind of pissed at him. He's like, Maria is far too good to suffer from the likes of you. And he's about to like make him pay for hurting Maria and causing all that pain. And then he gets another vision, and he's like, that wasn't Maria. And Santiago's like, no, but I still hear her screams every night. And then out of nowhere, a giant demon bursts from the fucking ground.
You're just
And-
like, this was me. I was like, what is happening?
I was like, yeah, right here I was getting like thoroughly like confused in a way where I was like, okay, what? And I was letting it ride because I was like, okay, they got by the end of this issue they will have explained it, so this will seem less confusing. You know what I mean? Because right now, David Pepose is trying to do like a cloak and dagger, very much like a mystery thing, where it's like you're learning information, but you're not being given all the information, so you're getting stuff in chunks, and you're like, I don't know what's happening. But anyway, we cut back to Pentecost, dousing some holy water on the rosary that was in Gabriel's grasp, and the rosary catches on fire, and Pentecost is immediately like, oh my god, Vieri's a devil. He's Legion.
Yeah.
And so he immediately goes to free Maria, and she's like, oh my god, you believe me? And he's like, dude, we gotta get the fuck out of here. And so then Maria tells him again about the blade forged from Jesus' cursed silver, and they're just gonna run it back. Where they're like, we're just gonna try the sword thing again because that's all we got. And so then Pentecost is like, oh, I gotta alert the conclave, the Curia, and then he bursts in, and Legion is already in there, and they're like, Legion's already like, I've already made them aware that someone's being possessed, Pentecost. And Pentecost is like, no, it's you who's the possessor. Like you're, and Legion is like, oh, watch, the truth will be revealed in this exorcism. And he basically starts speaking in demon curse that twists Pentecost's body to death. And he's like, see, look, he's a demon. He twisted to death.
He just killed himself in a really weird ass way.
He's literally like, look, I prayed right there, and he died. He twisted himself.
Yeah. So it's done, guys. We did it. Yay, team.
Yeah. So he's like, all right, cool, I win. And then again, cut back to hell, where Vieri's like, hey man, these demons ain't even real. They're not even yours. Legion doesn't control you anymore. You're only a prisoner of your own guilt. And he's like, he's like, the vision I just saw, like, do you not see who your true tormentor is? And it turns out that it was actually Santiago's brother Hector, who was the one who was choking Maria, and he was about to rape Maria, and that's when Santiago intervened and stabbed Hector through the back and killed him.
Mm-hmm.
And his guilt for that situation, that whole thing that happened, basically opened up his soul to be allowed to be possessed far easier by Legion. And Vieri's like, I know that pain, Legion. I know that pain, Santiago. Like, I understand. And that's when you see the vision of the woman who told him everything had been a lie and everything.
Yeah.
And Vieri's like, I was wounded by the truth, so I did not hear her dying heed of wisdom until now, and now I understand. And that's when Santiago's like, you really do have that belief, don't you? Like, you're really deep in your belief, man. Yeah. And that's when Santiago takes the sword that he used to kill Hector, that had been in the ground, that he had been holding on to, and he lifts it out of the ground and then immediately lunges at the demon.
Yeah, right.
And you're like, all right, sick, Santiago, that's sick. And so then as Legion is being crowned and the ship is going down, Vieri's body bursts out of the ocean and is like, thanks, Santiago, we still got a shot.
Yeah, we
still do it. The final shot of the issue is Legion being crowned Pope Constantine III over a fiery Vatican.
Yeah.
Which, sick as hell shot. This is probably the coolest page in the entire book, honestly.
This is some blasphemous shit, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Oh man. This issue was fun. Like it's crazy because like they do play like what you said last issue. They do a lot of like bait and switching. Like, oh wait, like Santiago choked out Maria. He's a bad dude. That's why he got possessed. It was easier for Legion to do so because he's a piece of shit. But no, actually, it's not that. He actually saw his brother choke her out, and he killed him, and he killed him to protect Maria, and then the guilt is the reason why it was best. Like I like that. Like they try to like they can think one thing up. It's actually this. So that was really cool.
Yeah, it's like Santiago actually isn't a dick. He's just a poor dude.
Exactly. Yeah, Rip to Pentecost. That was one of the funniest shit.
Yeah, Pentecost the entire time was like, dude, you're sus as hell. And then he found out he was, and then Legion was just like, you're actually a demon. See ya.
You're actually sus. And then and he says his demon talk, and then he really crumples up this man like he's a piece of homework. And then it's like, hey guys, see him fall like that? I did it. I did it. That's he was exercised. He's done. And the thing is, this book so far, like, a lot of theme is just there's a constant theme that happens in this book where it's just like the Vatican is so like arrogant, and they always believe like what they do is right. Is that even when they're clearly being strung along by Legion, because it appears to look like it's something that they wanted to happen, like an exorcism.
Yeah.
They believe it because they're just like, yeah, of course. Like it's we clearly know what exorcisms happen. How exorcisms take place. Like clearly that's he did it properly. That's what happened.
Yeah. So it's like it's funny that their Legion is abusing their faith in a very sneaky way, which is very interesting. I like that writing.
And he's been doing it the whole time, especially especially like if with when Vieri was in Santiago's body, and he clearly was telling them, hey, like I'm like the Inquisitors, I'm not Legion, like that's not happening. But obviously because they think he's still possessed, he's just lying because demons do that. They're not gonna believe him, or the fact Maria trying to convince the other people in the conclave that he's actually a police because he's possessed. They're not going to believe him because clearly he's a man of the cloth. Men of the cloth don't do bad things because that's not what they do. So it's really good. It's really smart writing. I really like it.
It is. I know I mentioned Conclave earlier, but it is very interesting to see how that movie basically has a whole discussion of how the church actually isn't full of a lot of like deep believers, and they're all just a bunch of dudes weaponizing this belief to fight each other and to be sneaky with each other. And then this book is basically all about how their belief is actually being weaponized to destroy each other. And I was like, all right, that's very interesting. How one portrayal of the Vatican portrays it as basically like a high stakes political game, and the other basically portrays it as a malevolent, cursed belief system. That you know what I mean? Like this book basically portrays it as like they are all so entrenched in their beliefs they're blind to what's right in front of them. Exactly. Whereas the other one is like they can see exactly what's right in front of them, so they're going to weaponize the church to basically get their own goals and achieve them.
But exactly. It's so interesting. It's such.
I fucking listen. I'm a sucker for some fucking religious books, man. Whenever they start good religious books, I'm not a sucker for like bad ones that are just like, oh, is religion bad?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, yeah, sometimes it can be, but it's far more interesting when you have an in-depth talk about it or a discussion, exploration. Anyway, we are on to the final issue, I believe.
So far, it's like again better than Pope's Exorcist. This should have been the movie instead of Pope's Exorcist, man. It's so much.
Yeah, they could have greenlit this as an adaptation instead of much more fun. Anyway, this is my favorite cover. I love that cover.
It's sick as hell. I just like the symmetry of Vieri. Well, Sebastian as Vieri, on
upside down crucifix, looks sick as hell. Jesus imagery. Ooh.
It's really cool. It's such cool stuff, man. The blood on the pillars of like the Vatican. I'm like, it's this crazy shit.
Anyway, we begin this issue with a flashback to young Vieri and young Pentecost. And Vieri's mother is being taken away for some reason we have yet to know. And Pentecost is there, and she's begging Pentecost not to take his son from me. And Pentecost is like, if only if it were that simple, but I must actually absolve and redeem this boy's soul by raising him in his own way. And he'll go by a new name, and we will call him Franco Vieri. So Franco Vieri is not really his actual name he was born with. That's the name the church gave him when Pentecost took him away from his mother.
That's so sick.
And so then we come back to Rome about 30-something odd years later, and
chaos ensued.
It is fucked. People are just in the streets, just absolutely knifing each other. It's like a fucking... It's like a server of the Gulag in Warzone right now.
Yeah.
Everyone's just knifing each other. They're 1v1ing. And Maria is just like, holy shit. And then that's when a hand comes from behind her, and she's like, oh my god. And then that's when Vieri's there, and she's like, holy shit, you're alive.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I'm alive thanks to some unexpected help. And you see Santiago's spirit right behind their embrace. And so Maria fills him in on the situation, and they're basically like, cool, let's get that blade and let's fucking get him. But first, Maria, you got to get me this one extra relic that I think is going to be our ace in the hole. And so their plan set, and then it immediately cuts to Pope Constantine III on his gore throne. Entirely on this bloody throne of naked, dismembered body parts, looking like a Dark Souls boss.
Literally, like I told you straight away. I literally was like, when I was grabbing this photo, I was like this image of the page. I was like, what am I looking at? Like, did I officially find a piece of artwork more blasphemous than Piss Christ?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think so.
I was like,
so yeah. Legion has gutted the entire Kyrie and basically built a gore throne and hung up all these bodies. And he's killing his last cardinal. And then he starts hearing Hail Marys. And he's like, who the fuck is that? It's like, who the hell's praying? I thought I killed all you guys.
Who's interrupting my time on my gore throne, goddammit?
Yeah, and then that's when Legion's like, of course, Vieri, and then bursts through a window that Vieri happens to be behind and is like, I fucking got you. And Vieri gets covered in shards of glass, and Legion starts, he now has like a fucking comically large tongue that he starts licking shit with that you're like, oh. And so it sets up like the beginning of the final fight between Vieri and Legion. And it cuts to Maria running through the Vatican, going to the archives to get the relic that Vieri had asked for. And then she sees a vision of her getting dragged into the darkness. And she's like, all right, whoever's out there, come out. I just got that vision, so let's handle this like people. Mm-hmm. And then that's when Pentecost's contorted, possessed body comes out of the darkness and starts begging to her, why did you leave me? And she's like, because you told me to. You told me to find the blade, idiot. Like, it's so funny how he's like, why'd you leave me? Instead of her being like, oh my god. She's like, you told me to, fuckhead. Like, what the hell?
You got yourself into this mess. I didn't do nothing.
Exactly. And I was like, all right, that's funny. Yeah, and so then Maria starts saying a prayer, and it causes Pentecost's body to burst into flames, and that's when she is there, and she grabs the blade, and then grabs the relic, and starts heading over to Vieri, as Vieri is taking a candelabra and trying to block Legion's entire blood sword he's got. While he's throwing glass shards at Vieri, and Vieri's getting absolutely stabbed. By the end of this fight, he has like fucking thousands of glass shards in his body. But yeah, at that moment, Legion then summons a plague of rats to devour Vieri and his body, and that's right at that moment that the rats are closing in on Vieri. Maria shows up and is like, "I got it, motherfucker," and throws him the blade. And that's when the ground below them gives out after Legion smashes it, and they go into the crypt under. And Vieri comes face to face with a dead priest and is like, "Holy shit!"
Yep.
And in the catacombs, Legion's now even more contorted and demonic-looking body floats down. He looks insane, and he's like, "Do you think you can scare me with like the blade? Like, the reason it didn't work is because it has to be held by like a believer, and you're like a non-believer, so it's not going to work again because you obviously don't believe in it. Obviously, didn't work the first time." And that's when Vieri's like, "You're right. I don't believe, but he does." And Santiago his soul takes over the body for a second, and he comes out and fucking fully Inigo Montoya's this shit by saying, "My name is Santiago Izan, and demon in the Lord's name, I cast you back to hell," and stabs the shit out of him.
It's awesome.
And I was like, "Oh, all right, that was sick as hell." And then that's when Legion's like, "That was a clever gambit, but like all you've done is just damn yourself forever." And it's literally a vision of him in hell being tied up in the most insanely demonic looking scene I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Dude, I conquered you once, I can conquer you again, and I'm just gonna fucking torture you forever, and you're fucked now because now you've actually pissed me off, and I'm actually like, you're no longer like a toy that I can like fuck with, like."
Mm-hmm.
And then Vieri's on the ground, and he's like, "Dude, I got one last ace up my sleeve. I know what happened to my mother back in the day." And he's like, "If you hadn't deceived me, if you hadn't set me on this path, I would have never known who I truly am. And only a demon like you would see doubt as a human weakness. But doubt is an important part of faith, because without the mystery, like you would not need faith if you had certainty. So the doubt is what powers me." And so he's like, all my life I asked if there was a place for me in the church, but it wasn't until the old woman found me that I understood why. And then he pulls out the Star of David, and he's like, "'Cause I'm fucking Jewish."
Whoop whoop.
And he's like, "Yup, and I was stolen, and the Christians tried to indoctrinate me, but I'm a classical spiritualist. I'm old school." And so his superpower Star of David just absolutely blasts the shit out of Legion and the mice. And he's like, "Listen, dude, you might have been able to stand by with the belief of Christianity, but you're getting stabbed with the belief of Christianity, and you're getting blasted with the belief of Judaism."
Mm-hmm.
So like, I know for a fact you can't handle two religions crossing streams.
Too powerful.
And and Vieri finally takes his body back, as Legion had left it to take his demonic form. And him and Santiago fucking fuck that dude up. And in their last act, Vieri exorcises Legion, and just like the classical story that Vieri mentions, where he's like, "Jesus the first time might have cast you out into a herd of pigs, but sorry, all I can do is a plague of rats." So he exorcises Legion and banishes him into the plague of rats that he had summoned. And Legion does his best Hawkeye impression and yells, "Not like this!" And that's the end of that. And Legion is successfully defeated. And basically it ends with Vieri being like, "Yup, I'm leaving. I don't care about the church anymore. I'm going to Poland, motherfucker." "I'm learning about my family's heritage." And Maria is there with what's his name? The body that Vieri had been using the entire time. The guy who's not even really a character in this, but he shows up at the end, and they're like, "Oh, we might start a family now." And Vieri's like, "Cool, man. If you need an exorcism, I'll be back. Just call me." And so then, Vieri rides off into the sunset and is like, "Yup, I'm I will protect this world from whatever other demons may come, no matter what face they choose to wear. And that's shows one of the rats that's Legion is possessing, and that ends.
Yeah, so
At
pretty
the
much
end of that,
the story ends with Vieri becoming John Constantine.
yeah, kind of like which is kind of a cool idea. Yeah, so that is the end of The Devil That Wears My Face.
Yeah, man. This issue was fun. Like again, it was like last time. It was like what you said. It was so much fun. Good, like really dope. Like Cormack really does some dope like action set pieces and like the possession and like very again, gruesome like kind of horror elements to it. Especially with that the gore throne is crazy. Yeah, man. This is the really like iconic kind of moments in here. Again, the gore throne, them, like exercising and exercising and hurting Legion. Legion looking all mangled. Like it's a lot of really cool ideas and just stuff here that again I wish I was like I want this in live action. Give this to me in live action, man. Adapt this shit. The Plague of Rats is horrifying. I don't like rats. Period. Well, not like Maddie. Shout out to Maddie. I don't have a phobia of rats, but like they're still gross. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. Yeah, I do like the fact that when you say like, oh yeah, like when they exercise, when they stab Legion, when Santiago stabbed Legion with the special sword, and he's just like, okay, like listen, this was cute and all, but like now you actually really pissed me off, and he has that vision with like Vieri like all bound up in like that like demon thing. I'm just like, this is crazy. And then yeah, but then literally all it took though to defeat the most powerful demon ever, this demon so powerful that he murdered the entire Vatican and built a gore throne out of them, is the power of Judaism. Let's go.
Yeah.
Well,
I think they should have had a Muslim in here. That would have been sick as hell.
That'd have been cool. That'd have been wild.
And I think they should have had the 3 Abrahamic religions in here doing cool shit, but it is what it is.
Is it? And also like the twist where it's like, yeah, like the fact that like she was, that he was actually taken by the church, due because they wanted to convert someone that was Jewish.
Yeah.
It's just messed up, and like, is that like an actual like a real account from like the Catholic Church?
Yeah, man, Inquisitions all the time would fucking like Inquisitions love to kill anyone who is not a firm believer in Christianity.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
like Spanish Inquisition, shit like that. Like it was basically just a group that they said would combat heresy, and a lot of the stuff they deemed heretical was literally just other religions. So they would use that for any fucking reason they could to be like basically carte blanche on like fucking killing whoever they want.
Yeah, the fact that they kind of use that concept in here as a tie to like why Vieri is felt so like different and just like has all this doubt. I think it's really interesting. This internal doubt is really interesting. Yeah, no, and the fact they leave the book on the end, we're like, yeah, it's kind of like a happy ending with like, yeah, like Santiago has his body again, and he might get married to Maria and start a family, and then like Vieri leaves the church and it's like, oh, I'm gonna just be John Constantine and just like hunt down demons and stuff. That's cool, but also Legion is still like he may be exorcised, but like from Vieri, but he's still around. He could still come back, and I hope he doesn't, because I don't want this book to. I think this book is just as a self-contained story. I think it works.
Yeah, it's a nice like self-contained story. I don't think. Like, no offense, but I would not read a sequel to this just purely because I was like, I feel like I got my fill from this story.
Exactly. But yeah, this was dope. This was a really like fun ending, I thought. You want to go to final thoughts, Seamus?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So final thoughts on The Devil That Wears My Face. I'll let you start off. What were your thoughts on it? What would you give The Devil That Wears My Face out of 10?
Out of 10, I'd probably give it like a 6.5 or a 7. I had fun with it. I thought it was solid. It was just a solid book on religion and possession story. I really liked it. I liked how the plot escalated and how it went from like a simple Freaky Friday possession swap to like Death Pope doing plague summonings and demon zombie summonings versus like a Jewish man with like a medallion laser and like a Christian man with like Judas's blade. You know what I mean? Like I like that kind of plot progression. I thought it was a solid book. There were some slow parts that kind of made me go a little and I thought some of the mystery aspect was so shrouded that it became a little confusing at some point, where characters are reacting to information that we don't yet know. So we're just left to be like, okay, I don't really know why you're doing that yet, but whatever. And then you get the payoff a couple of pages later, and it was kind of like, I think you should have just given me that payoff right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of just waiting like 3 pages to do like but what happens next? You know what I mean? Because then I was just confused. I'm like, But overall, I did have fun with it. I did like it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in the same boat with you. I would give this like a 6.5, I think. I did. It was kind of like, you know, like we were talking about the substance like last like off camera. Like I thought it was gonna go one way and it went another. Like the first half really does a good job of setting up, you know, kind of the atmosphere of the book, kind of like, you know, giving us a little bit of familiarity with like, you know, the religious horror stuff that we've seen in like you know, TV shows, and other, you know, and books and stuff like that. But you know, on its head with like, you know, these different taking all these ideas of like possession and exorcism, kind of like twisting that and doing like a Freaky Friday thing for the first half, and then the second half is like Indiana Jones stuff and like, you know, like zombie stuff, and you know, again like taking like like the sword, like the Judas Iscariot sword, and like taking all these other like taking all this religious like themes that we've set up and set the ground for the first half and just going crazy with it like in the second half. I thought it was really fun. Again, a lot of really good commentary that Pepose is going through, like, you know, like with inquisitioning and, you know, that like the arrogancy of like, you know, the church and how like and that becomes its weakness when Legion is taking it over. You know, it's just, you know, it's like, you know, self-discovery and all stuff in terms of like, you know, in terms of Vieri, you know, finding out like who he truly is and like, you know, what he's meant to be. It was really, really cool. It's a lot of fun. And this really, again, like we said earlier in the book, this earlier in the podcast, this book really put me on to Mad Cave's radar now. Like I'm actually might start to check out some other books that they've done. And yeah, I mean, I thought this book was good. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I thought it was good stuff in there. Alex Cormack. So he draws it and he draws it, inks it, and he colors it. I think he's great. Like I honestly think from what this book is going for, like that gothic, like, you know, religious horror type vibe, I think he nails it. Especially when he goes crazy in the third half in terms of, you know, doing all the possession stuff and all the crazy set pieces. When he designs Legion, like, you know, with the multiple eyes and stuff, I think it's really cool, very creepy. Yeah, really good horror stuff here. Well, yeah, I really did enjoy his artwork throughout the course of the entire story. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it. So we liked it. You know, this kind of gets. I think in terms of people who want to, like, you know, if you're into religious horror and you want to like also get into a new publisher that you've never heard of before, it's not like, you know, Image or Dark Horse or Boom or Marvel DC. Definitely check out you know, this series. I'll put a link in the description so y'all can, you know, get the book for yourself. And yeah, man. Well, I guess any more thoughts before we close out?
I got nothing, man.
All right. So as always, people, thank you so much for watching. For people who are watching, so we're watching, we appreciate it. Be on the lookout for check out all of our other Fright Month videos we've done so far. So, and all the other book discussion that we've done for the past few weeks. That'd be really appreciated. Be on the lookout for more content in the future. Comment, like, subscribe. What are your thoughts on this book? Have you read it? If you have read it, what are your thoughts on it? If you have not read it, will you be interested in reading it? We want to know your thoughts. down in the comments below. Leave a like as well. If you're not subscribed to us, subscribe so you can check out all our new content coming out in the future. Thing is, this is our 4th week of Fright Month. We have, next week is kind of free reign, so we'll figure out what to do for the final for Halloween Day on Thursday, and yeah, as always, thanks for support all the other videos we're doing, the Deadly Class stuff, Transformers, interview in the corner after darks, which we will do one soon because a lot of stuff has come out, news come out recently the past few weeks. So be on the lookout for that as well. The interviews, the reactions, we appreciate the support as always, and we put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. It's all that we do here on the Indie Corner, so it is appreciated with the love and support and all that stuff. So, as always, people, get home safe. People who are like partying right now because it's Halloween weekend right now, get home, stay safe, get lit, but also be safe, make good choices, be responsible, and as always,
don't die.
Yeah, don't die. Don't die. That's the most important thing. Don't die. And as always, we'll get on safe, and we'll catch you on next time. All right. Peace.
Peace.
Later.